Hello, how are you today? Today we have 10 questions set up for an independent author because of Independent Author Week. And I'm going to start with asking you, sir, some questions about yourself and your writings. So, first off, what is your name?
First name is Willis, as in common spelling of Willis. Middle name is Anthony, sometimes known as Tony. Last name Brunson,
All right.
Brunson.
Okay, Mr. Brunson, thank you for joining us. First up, if you could tell me a little bit about yourself, like where you're from and how long you've been writing.
Forever. uh, I'm from Chicago, born and raised here. You want grammar school or high school?
As long as you've been, so what actually started you, what interested you into becoming a writer?
Probably when I got on the homeowner association board. When I got to the point of becoming a chairperson of the homeowner association board back in the 80s,
Okay.
I thought it was interesting to put out a newsletter to all of the homeowners. And so that was about 4 pages. And so I did that while I was the chairperson of the homeowner association board. And then I had to continue to do some writing when I was on the Board of Education of Rich Township, 27. And I was on that board for about 20 years. And when I got on the Park Forest Police Department, where I was almost on 27 years, every time we had some significance that we had to do out there in the street, we had to do some writing. So I kind of got into the habit of writing, probably going all the way back to the 80s.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if you get a lot of scam calls.
Yeah, of course.
I counted my scam calls yesterday. I had 25 of them.
Wow. Yeah, that's an unfortunate amount. I'm not sure I'm getting all of that. So I do understand now why you say you've been writing forever from the timeline you just gave. So next up, did you always see yourself becoming a writer?
No. I like to put stuff down so that I wouldn't forget whatever it is that happened to me, or my neighborhood, or the people I knew, or something else that might have happened. And so that's why this particular book refers to some of those things that have happened to me over the years. And it's not just about what's happening most currently with this pandemic, but it is applicable to some of the things that are doing now, which if you read just the back cover of the pandemic, you'll see about some of the things, analogies that I've made, and the encouragement that I'm giving to people to go out there and vote, which is why I was hoping that in the message that I gave you, which is on a separate page, you can get that out and maybe put it around the library, encouraging people to go out there and vote one way or another before Tuesday. And,
Okay.
That's only one page that you would have to sanitize as such, or quarantine, maybe over one day, instead of the entire book over about 6 days, according to Mr. Hunnigan.
I understand, definitely. So I know you're starting to talk about the book that you have, so let's get a little more into that, if you don't mind. Prior to maybe this book, what is the first story, or maybe this is the first story that you have written?
It is. And this is the second time that I've written something that I actually sent to a publisher and none of the publishers that I sent it to were so inclined to want to print something like this until I finally found one a couple of years ago called Page Publishing, and they were interested in writing about it.
Okay.
Because this one covered a lot of different subjects, and it's not just a singular work as such, be it funny or criminal or whatever the case may be. It covers a whole lot of different subjects over about 40 pages.
Wonderful. Can you hold the book up again? I know you had it before in the shot, so we could see it. Great. It's you can bring it back a little bit so everybody can see the whole thing. Thank you. That's perfect. Between the amens. All right.
Do you want me to tell you why I named it this?
Sure. Definitely.
Because I was in church. And as I explained in the book, somewhere where it says how I came about this title, it's the pastor is up there and he's talking about this, that, and the other, and people are singing, and sometimes I'm just standing there or sitting there, and while they're doing whatever they're doing, my mind is just thinking about other kinds of things. And you can't write about that kind of stuff while you're in the church. So as I say in the book, I just try and remember them. Then after a period of time, I have enough to actually put down in writing. And that's kind of the kinds of things that I write about in the book. So there are different topics, that I would be writing about inside the book.
Okay.
You know what will be interesting? I was just thinking about that now.
Yes.
If somebody were to actually do a movie of my book, and the movie would only be about 5 or 10 minutes long on each item. But the movie itself might be an hour or two, but it would just show the different snippets of things that would be included in the book, including why it's so important, like now, to actually go out there and vote. Because actually I wrote that probably a year or two ago.
It's very important. You're right. Very prevalent now. So we have to be on the lookout for that. You're right. I have a few more questions for you though, Mr. Brunson. Actually, what inspired your writing? What actually inspired you? Any books or authors?
No, because I don't think there's anything in the book that you can say I'd ever come across first in somebody else's work, except unless I've given them some kind of acknowledgement in terms of something maybe they may have said. Like one was maybe a couple of paragraphs that once upon a time Abraham Lincoln was said to have said, and that's in the book.
Okay, that's understandable, definitely. All right, so next up, is there a novel or story you wished you yourself had written?
No. I remember I think it was in high school, or maybe it was grammar school. We had to read a book, or maybe 1 or 2 books a month, and we could just pick it out ourselves. I don't think we all had to read the same book, and then maybe talk about it once before the class in terms of the book that I read. There was nothing special about my book that I can think about right now that I ever had to read or do.
Okay, understandable. You're an author. You're independent. Okay, so can you name any of the challenges you yourself have experienced or other authors you know with being an independent author?
No.
Okay, what benefit?
Oh, yeah, just finding a publisher, that's all.
That's That's pretty much what most people do say, finding a publisher. But what about the benefits of being an independent author?
I don't think anybody, unless it's one of those spam calls of anybody telling me they want to do something with the book, like do a movie. No.
Okay. So, where do you hope to see your writing in the next 5 to 10 years?
Well, I was hoping that because I covered somewhat, especially on the back cover of the book, where I encourage people to go vote. This would be it immediately. After that, there are some things that people could spend some time thinking about in terms of their lives, their lifestyles, and some other things that are happening currently, as well as some things that have happened in the past that they might want to emulate or do something about.
Okay. Well, do you have any advice that you yourself will give to any upcoming writers?
Don't give up, because maybe somebody somewhere might have been thinking the same kinds of thoughts, and all they needed to have was somebody encourage them to do the same kind of thing. And one of the things that I think I've learned over the many, many years that I've spent in this world is that you should never, ever, ever stop learning, because you never know it all. And you always need somebody else that has another viewpoint. Even when I can remember a time when I was on my credit union board. And I was president of the credit union board at one point in time. And one of my responsibilities was to find somebody that might qualify, that might be a member of the credit union board. And I thought of somebody. And I had had previous conversations with this particular individual, but we had never ever necessarily seen a particular subject the same way. I suggested that he would be the one that I would suggest to the board, even though I knew that we weren't always the same way, because I always knew that he could bring forth another different perspective. And that's something that I acknowledged, because I didn't necessarily know everything. And maybe there were some things that I hadn't thought about, that he had, and that could both do us some good.
All right, great. That's very sound advice. Wonderful. But last but not least, this is all about your book. Can you let us know where you can find your book and the title of it? Is it available online through a website, or do you have somewhere someone can possibly order it?
Yes. According to the publisher, I think they send copies around to some of the bookstores and on Amazon. And
Okay.
Sometimes I punch up between the amens. That's the title of the book, just to see how well it's doing in different places, so forth. But I know sometimes it'll come up online, and it'll tell you a little bit about the book.
Great. Do you yourself have a website or contact information that you want to make available to the public?
That's included in the thing that you could pull up on the website.
Great.
Actually, it's one of the page publishers' employees that will talk to you about how you can get a hold of the book or anything else you might want to know about me that I haven't already told you.
All right, wonderful. Well, I do thank you today for talking with us. We do look forward to hopefully seeing more of your work around, and people can be on the lookout for In Between the Amens by Mr. Willis Brunson. So you have a wonderful day. We appreciate